Okay, hold on a second.
If they like scary stories.
Okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Dr. Roberts is gonna go in there. Dr. K's gonna come up and say some stuff. So I should be able to get the team because they'll probably line up in front of the screen. You can just, yeah, you can stay on Dr. Roberts. Like that's pretty much set. When she's done and sends them off, then I'm gonna come over and we're gonna take that camera and get it back here. I should have moved it. Pops up in the shop.
Three people are on. Three
Over
people
there
are on.
and back to normal. Then you're Two people in what? Let me do a test. Because that's my camera for one over there. So we got more than two people. Yeah, hold on, sir. Hold on in case they get somebody else. Carl.
In a collection of those, and they actually, I went to a conference in, it was kind of good. But there was a company that picked that up and started putting through but we might be able to find those.
We're ready for
For that, but it was true litter, so we may be able to find that stuff.
we're ready for one.
Yeah, if you do this, you don't have less. That's, I think. He's gonna be, it's gonna be a hard sell for Andrew. Andrew sees where he can put it in, but he's not gonna be able to put it in our local place. But, I thought of some stuff that we could do if we wanted to, but that's not my place. My place is to show, and let people see what the possibilities are. And you're already seeing that this is not gonna work, you know, at that level. And, I have been there. Because, you know, I did a slow step on to it.
Okay, I have one at one count for me.
And it was not my textbook of my choice, but it was the only one I had. Now we have, you know, to do other things. Okay.
Which mic is she, JT?
1B.
1B? Okay. One more time to 10, please. Okay, let me check it over here. more time, JP. I got it. Okay. Which mic does he have?
1A.
One more time. JT, slide to your right and can you just turn towards me a little bit?
I tried to do it.
Okay.
Like this,
Okay.
This is important. Because this is.
Okay.
But you know, what, let's look, because it could be that we both decide. So let's make that open here.
Go again. Okay, he's only on 5. JT, could you turn him to 6? No, he's on 6. He's on 6. Are you seeing the lines? Are you seeing the lines? Yeah. All right, we'll just go with it. Which one is that? Go ahead.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, I'm getting that one a little bit.
Want me to do this?
Yeah, go ahead, and we'll go with that. We'll go with what we have. So I may rely on you guys more than not really reliable. So, same deal as yesterday. If you can get in close enough, you hear a call. You need to have a little tighter shot or whatever.
I'm expecting 2 more, I need 2 more, but we can provide.
Who are the 2? Is Elijah here?
Elijah.
There's got Elijah, look at my face. Something good in this is gonna come.
We know, if the 2 students come in, y'all will direct them, 1 here, 1 here.
Okay, so, shall I go ahead, Dr. Long, would you like to open us up today, just anything? And then I'll follow you, and then we will have the team come up a little bit like we did yesterday. Because remember, if we were doing this for real, people who watched yesterday might not be on, or vice versa. So we pretty much have to go, I could close this again. Alan. You do, you just let me, I need to move this somewhere away from myself. I've done it.
Well, seven,
I know.
Well, you don't need joint right away.
I would stand over.
I'm good.
We not just leave it like that, not this. We're good. I'm good, Dr. Long. Okay, good. I'm good too. You saw me close it.
You're rolling.
Good morning.
Good morning.
To our faculty and staff, our knowledgeable others, our guests, and most of all, our students who gave us their Sunday morning. We appreciate your presence today. We are here today for the Rising Up with Active Learning. And so if you missed the opportunity to view yesterday and observe, you missed a treat. It's an amazing day. Active learning was lesson study. Yesterday we had Dr. McKay with her children's lit class, and today we will observe Dr. Rebecca Robinson with the educational psychology class. And so we will buckle up and observe, and we're in for a treat today. Thank you.
Well, good morning, FED 241. I think we've seen each other before. We'll see each other again on Monday. Welcome. So today is day 2, and we are very excited to see everyone back. You remember that our charge is to build and disseminate information through United Negro College Fund and Tallahassee College as a part of a grant. And we are delighted to be enacting that grant and to really welcome all of you, particularly our students. What we know about lesson study is that we have to have layers of influence. And the major layer of influence are the students. So thank you again for coming. Some of you have been here 2 days in a row, which is almost too much for us to take on the weekend. We need rest for this. So the first thing I would like to say is we have an outside audience today. This is being live streamed, and this should be very exciting for all of you who are worried about getting field experience hours as students, because it's hard, isn't it? So we think we're kind of on to something here. So we are glad to be here, thankful for the leaders, Dr. Hawkins and Dr. Long, for supporting us. And I'd like to call up now all of the core innovation team, which would be all of the teachers and professors in the education department. And I want our knowledgeable other, Dr. Rhonda Sutton, to come up and stand with us. So when you look at this team of ladies, we would be happy to entertain having a gentleman on our team, but we are just delighted that we have so many people who are so passionate about the work that is done every day in American classrooms, particularly college classrooms. Dr. Sutton is a professional. She and I are not, we are friends, but we're not close friends. But the minute that I heard her open her mouth one day, and I had to think about a knowledgeable other, she was the one I kept coming back to. So Dr. Sutton, we are so glad and so grateful to you. And she already has my head spinning from yesterday, and I have a little blurb. I'm going to write an article about it, and I'm going to pick her brain in that article. So be prepared, Dr. Sutton. Thank you for yesterday. We have Dr. Yolanda Clinton. Dr. Clinton will be working on the second round of lesson studies, which will happen in the fall. So we are so glad that she joined us and is a part of our community, and she brings a depth to the work that we really appreciate. Plus, she can help me with technology when I close my computer and I can't get anything to open back up. Thank you, Dr. Clinton, for being here. Dr. Michelle Bridgewater has been with us probably longer than she thought, but we are so delighted that she's a part of our faculty, because she brings to us years of experience in working with many types of learners. And you might know, or you might not know, that in an education department in our state, we're required to have certain specialists in the field and people who have worked. And she is our special education colleague and has brought enjoyment, life, and love for students to our department. So Dr. Bridgewater, we can't wait to see you do your lesson study. Her lesson study, as well as Dr. Clinton's, will be a focus on the ethics of whatever topic that they choose to go with when it's their turn to do their lesson study. And Dr. Robinson and I have been together forever, even before we were together in another life as public school teachers. And we have been doing lesson study. And I love Dr. Robinson because I could call her up and say, Rebecca, would you let me do a lesson study at your school? And she never turned me down, which in a way is not that unusual for most public school principals, because they're always looking for innovations and ways to bring best practices to their classroom teachers. So Dr. Robinson, we are tickled that you are doing the lesson today. We cannot wait to see it. And we want you to talk to us briefly about what you think you want us to look for in your lesson? I'm gonna step back so you can get up to the slide.
Well, we're going to be using, a rather old, I think it's been around since 1986. I used it one time, I won't say how many years ago, when I was doing a lot of lessons. But it will be, it's just a good strategy. I used it the first year I was here at College College, and my kids looked at me like, what are you doing? You know, your number is off, your steering is off, and then we gotta come back and teach. But it's a good strategy, so I hope that you will, be looking at the strategy and finding a way that maybe you can use it in your classrooms, including my teacher candidates, so that you know what another strategy to do and have up your sleeve when you go out in the field. And another thing you might want to look for is, because I'm going to have to improvise. I'm short two people. The thing about Jigsaw is everybody has a part. So you've got to do your part, and you're going to be missing a third person unless two people get on that and do it.
What do you do? 45 minutes?
You could. If you want to do it.
We have one other one come in.
Got one coming in?
He's getting his 10th.
All right, good. So we
So
shall
you
one.
draft me if you need to.
Okay, I'll draft you up. Okay, thank you. All right, so that's what, I had another plan, I was gonna jump in there. You always have to have plan B, is what I tell my students. So the Jigsaw, it does go better if you have all of the people. So you might wanna, I'm mixing the, I'm not ever use a video and reading. This time I'm having one group do a video, so I don't know how that's going to work. It might be distracting for the other group, but I'm hoping I can work it out. So you might want to note that and give me find something.
So I want you to take one last look at this fabulous group. And it has been said that if you want something to happen, you don't have to have an army. And so we feel like we've got what we need right here and right here at these tables. So bless you all, and we'll get started in just a minute. I'm going to say one more thing about lesson study as the process. Thank you. So if you are watching us through live stream, you have a packet of information that looks like what you see on the big screen behind you. In that packet of information, you will see a note-taking sheet. Often when we do large group lesson studies, and I have to have the good fortune of studying with people who do nothing except disseminate lesson studies and go worldwide with it. So one of the things that I have found that is interesting is that people truly want to do good work for students. They will often say to me when I do the work, well, how do we take notes? So I'm not trying to supplant your wonderful note-taking that you already have, but I do like to offer a suggestion in your packet. When you look at your packet, you will see a sample of a way that you could take notes if you chose. Now, it's in Appendices C, and it basically does a T-chart. What are the students doing? What is the teacher doing? And then down at the bottom, you will see the environment and the context. And when you think about the environment and the context, our context today is certainly not like FED 241 in the classroom because of COVID. We have had to do extreme social distance measures in our classes that are not being videotaped, but we are certainly doing it here today. So we have small numbers of students, and what we hope in the environment and the context is for you to close your eyes and for you to imagine how you're going to synthesize this information, take notes through your synthesis, and then make a plan on what you might do where you can actually use this technique in your classroom. Our students will often tell you that we open usually with some kind of an inquiry question, In the classes that Dr. Robinson and I have been designing, she and I have been partner teaching. I haven't told Dr. Rob that, I hope there's no complaint. But we felt like we needed to team up so that we could study each other and give each other feedback. And so we've had a good time, haven't we, Dr. Robinson? She's nodding yes if you can't see her. So it has been fun for us because we really synthesize after every lesson, and we're always thinking, you know, well, what, this didn't work, what are we gonna do? So sometimes those syntheses are just happen when we're passing in the hall, but sometimes we really do have time to really sit down. So if you would like to use this note-taking sheet, feel free to do that. If you are live streaming and you would be gracious enough to share your data with us, we would certainly appreciate it. We do have other team members here today. We have a cadre of people who are on our layer of faculty who are very interested in the process of active learning. We have Dr. Derek Chaplin and we have Amanda Hosey Cotton with us today. And we have others that I have missed. So we are delighted that we are here in this beautiful facility in our William R. Harvey Museum, where we have our beautiful, wonderful murals displayed. And so we have a beautiful context and a beautiful setting with great students, and we are ready to go. Thank you, Dr. Robinson. Dr. Robinson, you tell me where you want me to be, and that's where I will be, if you need.
Well, you don't have to, it should be acknowledged, it doesn't come in, we go to work.
Okay, I'll let you go. I don't have to do this all.
You don't need to stop, but I have a spot like that. If you will, try to find, and you'll find our code there. Okay, so pretend we're in Andrew, okay? We're starting class, the deputy 241 and the deputy 201, since I drafted some of you for 201. Those of you in 201, intro ed, will get some bonus points. And those of you in FED 241 will get a grade. So you'll have an assignment at the end. And you say, what about those not here? Well, they're gonna have to do it for homework. So that should make you feel good. So, this is kind of a mixed class here. But I want to thank you for giving up your Sunday morning. This is going to be something to write home about. Your mother and father, or whoever found at home, might not believe she's in class on Sunday. So if you need me to talk to them, give them my number. I don't mind talking to them, let me know that you can get kudos for getting up and getting to class on Sunday. So thank you much. And here comes our third student. All right. You'll look at your group at your table. This is your home group. Just look at them so you don't lose them. Y'all are about to get another student in your home group. Right here, Cheryl. Thank you much. So that's your home group. We're going to talk about something before we start our movie. As y'all know, since you start, we're going to I want to talk about the ethics, the Alabama Education Code ethics, just a little bit, and let you talk some about it, so that when you go to your group, you're going to have some readings and a video, and you're going to talk about the standards in relation to these selections, either reading or video. That sounds complicated, but it really won't be once you get going. So you have in your packet the code of ethics because it's not going to come up there. Everybody has in your packet the Alabama Education Code of Ethics. So you'll find that. I'll try mine. Well, look, what in the world is this? We thought talked about this in class, but I want to go over it one more time, make sure you know. What in the world is ethics in the first place? Somebody tell me.
Like culture, good.
Say it loud. What you go by? Your belief. And in this case, it's your belief about education. So, you know what ethics is. You have an ethical, you're gonna have ethical feelings about certain things that come up when you become a teacher. If you look at my question, I've got on this chart right here. Jamara, can you loudly read that top question?
What are some ethical dilemmas that teachers face?
And what's a dilemma? Problem, issue, something that comes up. But what is going to come up when you get out there in the field that's going to require you to make an ethical decision? We're going to look at some other teachers and see what they have. You don't have ethics. It's in here. It's in here. No, okay, putting it on the board too. Yeah.
I can do that, Dr. Robinson.
Okay, thank you. So when you get to my house, it's okay. It's in mine, okay? There you go. If you get that, that'd be great. If not, they all have a copy of it. We're talking about ethics. We talked about a dilemma. Now we've got to talk about one more word. Now, I'm an old elementary teacher, so I believe I know your vocabulary before we get into this. So you're reading about ethical standards. What is a standard? What is a standard? Louder. Level of exception, level of acceptance. What is accepted? What's the status quo? What are you supposed to do? What is expected of you? That's the standard. So what is expected of teachers is what we're going to talk about today. We're going to look at some of our standards in the Alabama Educator Code of Ethics. I think you all have them. Look at number 1. Roger, what is number 1? Professional conduct. What in the world is that? Take your highlighter and underline those ing words. Take your highlighter and underline the ing words. Mikhail, would you read them? The ing words.
Respecting federal educators and teaching of professional and teaching environment, engaging in a variety of individual and collaborative learning experiences essential to developing professional in order to promote student learning.
Okay. You should underline encouraging, respecting, engaging. Those are the words I want you to remember for professional conduct. Now, it also in these standards gives the negative, tells you what unethical conduct is. We're not going over that because I think you know. But if you don't know, you probably need to read.
So Dr. Robinson, I've got them up, behind you.
Okay, great.
On a single page, but we're gonna read it.
That's fine, okay? So we talked about standard 1. And I asked you to underline some words. We'll talk about standard 2 briefly. So standard 2. What's standard 2 for, Scott?
Trustworthiness.
Trustworthiness. Does an educator need to be trusted? He said, all the time, it was quick too, you were quick. These are my junior seniors, they know, the rest of you know too, you gotta be trusted in this field. So, I want you to think about a teacher that you know that has exemplified trustworthiness. I want you to talk at your table about 3 minutes, about 1 minute each. Share a teacher you know that exemplifies trustworthiness. And you might, that's okay. This is an easy assignment, you know somebody. Okay. Everybody talking? Okay.
Especially like I said, with Ashley cameras and we really like we want to sit down and talk to them about like we think that we there for you to talk, like not just listening to you to see this be doing it because that's their job, they're doing it because they want to fix how you understand what they can help you with.
Everybody sharing? Good. Okay, great. Thank you much. That was an easy show to break the ice. So we know we need trustworthy teachers, and I know that's what you're going to do. So moving on, let's talk about standards reading. Oh, this one's going to be quick. Not much we can do about this. So, in the Alabama Code of Ethics, number 3 is what, Harry?
Unlawful acts.
Unlawful acts. That just kind of goes without saying. You break the law, it's not ethical, then there's usually consequences, especially if there's a felony involved. I don't even say that word, but unfortunately, I've had a little experience with a few folks. So, you know the unlawful acts. Let's look at number 4. Break standard 4. We talked about this in class. Amon, what is number 4? Okay. You can read what it says under teacher-student relationships. Go ahead, Amon.
Always maintain personal services for all students, both in and outside the classroom.
Now, where does the opinion come in there? Where does some folks' opinion come in?
If you want to make sure that the graduation outside of the school.
Yes, you have, there's a professional responsibility is defined in different ways by different people, but they spell it out pretty clearly here. And they're telling you, you know, that you've got to be careful. So you've got to be careful, not only with your relationship, but the perception of your relationship. Because sometimes teachers get in trouble for just a perception. Somebody thinking things that are not good. So, you know about teacher-student relationship, you know it's gotta be professional. We know, look at those ethical conduct words, mentor, advocate for students' growth. Underline that one, advocate for students' growth. What is it, advocate for students' growth?
Someone who's always helping them to, like, growing potential.
Growing their potential. I like those words, Elijah. What about nurturing? That's a good word. Supporting, maintaining a challenging environment. What if everything you did in class was just like 2 + 2 easy? Would you be challenged? No. So, teacher-student relationship. One last one. Skip over to 8. This is the one we're going to talk about today. The rest of them are not unimportant. We'll get to them another day. Look at 8. Read 8. Z, would you read 8?
Maintenance of confidentiality.
Confidentiality. Okay. Underline these terms. Comply with state and federal laws, we know that. Local school board policy relating to confidentiality of student and personnel records. That means I can't discuss Elijah's grade with Shamara. Also, this is the one I want you to underline twice, because this is going to come up in one of your scenarios that you're going to read about. Standardized test materials. Standardized test material. What does that make you think of when I say, and that's our ethics standard says standardized test material? What are they talking about?
Like the
ACT, SAT, those CRCT, that was what you had to take. What state? Georgia. Okay. Okay, an orange, and that's Alabama. I remember the orange. So what they mean about maintaining confidentiality and being ethical about testing. I mean, you just go in there and give the test. You can't look at it, right? You can't look at it. You can't talk about it. What about helping students? No, can't do that either. All right, one of your readings will be about that, so that's why I want to use that one, because that's a lot. That's in the news a lot, and I think some of you may have heard of it. So, heard of people or teachers who have problems. So, I'm going to relate to that, I think. Okay, we're getting ready to go now to our expert groups. In the middle of your table, you will see a manila folder. Everybody get one. On the first side of the manila folder, you will see expert group guiding questions. So that's what you've got to do when you're in your expert group. You've got to summarize your reading or video, title of it, who, what, when, where, and then answer the questions about it. So the first few minutes that you're in your expert group, they can be quiet. You can be quietly reading. And then after about 5 or 7 minutes, I'm going to say you should be sharing. Because in the expert group, you're going to talk to your other fellow experts about what you're going to say when you get back to the home group. You all are gonna be experts, you number ones. Number one, raise your hand. Okay, you all are gonna be experts on the video. You're coming back to share with them because they've got to fill out the other side of this folder with what you tell them. Okay. Number twos, I haven't assigned those yet, so y'all can decide among your group. Twos, you will go and you're going to work on promotion and retention. There's a reading. It's not in your packet, but it's on the table. And I have extras if those you need. Number two, promotion and retention. Number three, you're going to be studying about that case in Atlanta where those administrators and teachers were convicted of fraud result after the test. There it is. That one is in the packet. That one's in the packet. So that's number three. Thank you. Here's two. So take your folder and your pen with you when you go to expert group. You can go ahead and move. Two and three, you just have to decide which two and three. You know which one. Y'all just pick them up. Huh? Okay, go to the break. Right. Remember not to put close together now. Block each other out, y'all. I'm gonna have to block out that whole video they're watching. Three go there. You two. Okay. Remember to spend the first 5 or 7 minutes studying your material. On promotion attention, I've got one on here. Now, you can put that down. Y'all might make a chart, but you probably won't. You all only have to do this. Through page 13. The rest of it is all filled out the article, but you may have time. So just read these pages that you through 13. Okay? Now this thing, they'll talk about it. Y'all have the, this will be the case. y'all want to move up when they start talking? Or now, that's fine. This would actually end the video of this time, so that's your top. So, you know, it's kind of misleading because you'll get. And if you finish, you can start talking about the best way and the best information to share out. If you got to teach your home group, they're not going to read this. Or watch this. Well, in your groups, because they won't be able to capture you on video. It'll take about 6 minutes to decide what we're going to teach. There should be some good dialogue on it. Especially down at the bottom. What would y'all do? Would y'all promote or would y'all retain?
That would be,
No right or wrong answer. There's where your ethics come in, right? So which ethics standard are you going to relate to? He could, yes, but the ethics standards are gonna be back on the screen. Guys, you
I was there when it happened. There was a group of like 10 kids that they said they cheated on the test, but kind of find out that they wasn't cheating. They had to take the test. They had to pass it. And but it was the teachers who had gave them the answers to the test.
teachers going. What they gave us.
Yes, so they have, next week they have to go trial, and then the students have to retake those same students.
Let those kids were mad. Let those kids were not happy. If they had reached.
A few of them were my friends and they said, some of the things, so I, you know, go through with them, let's say that.
What are y'all gonna say about yours? I'm sorry, good word, I'm sorry. Teachers, all right, so they have, she violated. She also may have what? She may have broken the law. So that's standard 3. But she definitely violated the teacher-student relationship ethics. Some of them overlap. Could be, yeah. See, we don't know if she's convicted. See, we don't know about, you know, why did they put her on leave? Why didn't they just fire her?
Because they have really proof that they really did.
You gotta investigate, yeah, due process. She also did one, yeah. You can, yes, but she definitely was not professional.
She was in charge of and she was actually engaged. Progressive as fast as they thought she was, they thought she should be. So it's not, I don't feel like it's not that she didn't want it.
Maybe more than one thing. You're also there. When you need. And there may be more than one.
She knows you know, and she got to know he's not.
Well, try to wrap it up. You don't have to have them. You see both sides. So that may be your consensus down here may be that you see both sides, or you may not agree as a group. That is a very controversial topic. Information down this study, that's a teach.
Number 8.
The main thing is, don't take them back to the house. Go to the, you probably can go out, you know. There'll be examples of it. I thought it would take y'all longer to get finished, but it's taking the reader longer. The math. We need y'all to, say your name. And what else?
And this table.
The table, because y'all are at 3. Okay. Y'all can do, y'all can do. They can do.
That's it. I see your name.
Now, you just trying to get it.
Harry Hall at table 3. Harry Hall at table 3.
Khadijah White at table 3. Shamala at table 3.
Say your name and actually say your consent. Say your name, preview, and table.
Honestly, I don't really agree with some sense, but at the same time, being an educator, you can be moved, being in a classroom, and you get to be a teacher. At the same time, they work hard, but they could have better. I don't think 20 years in prison.
Yeah, I agree with what you said, because, a lot of folks handle taking standards, so you need to experience when they break down, they just like freeze up and push back from that, and how we can like help the students outside the school, removing it.
Okay, well,
Next year.
take one more minute, wrap up now, so you know what you're gonna say. You've got to teach your group for 3 minutes. Teach your home group. Going back home to teach now. You've got to know what you're gonna say. Y'all got enough? Can y'all talk about it? Okay.
Seems like the Bills don't go to be shot.
Hmm.
We are for sports.
Okay, y'all got anything to do?
It says if you pay like a phone bomb, they can take the soul out of like your productivity in school. You wouldn't want to focus it on how you'll be pushing back. Then I feel like there's like another actually got because they do this concern.
Okay, well, break her up, go home. Interesting talk. Interesting talk. Okay, we're interesting. We're already getting into it. Come on, table 3. Y'all can't solve that problem. Okay. Talk loudly at your groups. And try to spend about 3 minutes or 2 minutes each participant talking and teaching your group. Group members, go to the second side of your folder. You've got to take notes on what they say. Okay, you can begin. Number 1.
All right, so my title was ethics training for Alabama education. Ethics training for Alabama educators. And the who will be Miss Perry, which was the teacher. Mm-hmm. And put like in quotations, the teacher. And it'll be the student. Then the what would be relationship or inappropriate relationship between teacher and student, because in the video the teacher was texting and doing inappropriate things with students in and outside the school. I think it's the next two.
So with the student outside school.
Yeah, in and outside of school. Sending inappropriate pictures, etc. Then the when and the where, it's like the same thing. It is in school and outside of school, on home. And when and where you just saying was at school, or you outside of school at home. And like, this is a little academic standards that were done in this video was just like you treated them. It was teacher-student relationships, professional conduct, and unlawful acts. So the teacher went on leave so they can investigate the real, the real investigation. Because like as a teacher, like you shouldn't be inappropriate with your students, sending those kind of messages and pictures. You can be cordial with your students outside of the classroom. If you see them at the basketball game or football game, you give like a high five or whatever. But even if you go back to your house, like that's like you should be there. I said teacher student relationships, professional conduct, and unlawful acts. For where I said school or outside of school, it was happening outside of school and inside of school. And then what I'm having in front of HR work with the principal. Because the mom was worried because the mom found the text messages on the front of the phone. She recorded it and she was like,
Oh, no. I'm glad that was a real reaction. Aren't you, Dr.
and then like some of the things that were happening were pretty inappropriate. Well, one was like, I want to see you again. And last one was a close call. Oh my God.
High school, back at home, high school. Teacher and student was in a relationship caused by the like of staff members and actions of the trial and still is on our trial.
I don't see why people do it firstly.
I don't understand.
So you're supposed to have a professional relationship with your students, but instead you want to have these unlawful acts with students. We adults want to well.
The title of my book is, I'm sorry, the title of my passage was Promotion of the Child. The Who was a 16-year-old girl named Hayden, and she was in 8th grade. Her name Hayden, A-D. And the word was basically the decision to promote retain Hayden based on feelings that she felt. But in this case, she was a 16-year-old girl in the 8th grade who was failing. So, and another felt that I think like personally played part and like played a feeling was when like she beat her brother to kill on her front foot. She was shot with shotgun, and she had been bouncing around from football, and she was kind of a female student in school, but it was once like for one subject, they didn't have a teacher, and it was a substitute there most of the time. So there was like, well, I feel like she was feeling like it was a real teacher. It was a substitute, and his major wasn't even what was being taught in the class. Okay, and the room, it was Joe. No, like the crazy thing about it, like what I feel like you should have, she should have been able to go to school. But in this case, they put out some school due to budget. So I think like she didn't have a chance to really like be able to make what the things that she failed because they cut it out really good. But then basically the problem, they were trying to decide to put it to the promote overtime based on all these steps. So you gotta take all this into consideration when you make your decision about promote overtime. Okay, and where is Innovation Academy? The actual, the school, the sound actually was truthful. And the reason I chose it was because student and teacher relationship. I feel like the only real relationship that she had was with the football teacher. Because he was the only one that was actually trying to like, for out. But she felt like, he was the only one able to do what he and the other teacher basically felt like since she was already 16, she could have been gonna drop out and great to teach. So they really get killed. And like I think they kind of established like a relationship based on it, like doing the first teacher. And yeah, this
Based on what you said, based on like what you said, other ones about it. This is what you from an uncle about. I would have thought you would have said it was number 4. The teacher student relationship. Because if you were coming in, trusting the teacher,
standards, it's in the reading was individuals, confidential, and unlawful acts. So in standard 8, the main is confidentiality. It's the unethical conduct includes, it says violated confidentiality agreements related to standardized testing includes copying or teaching identified test items, publishing or distributing test items and answers, discussing test items and violating the school system or state directions for the use of testing. But our reaction to it was like, so they couldn't have bad intentions. They were all, not I wouldn't say all of them, but most, I'm pretty sure all of them. Like since it's 20 years in prison, and I don't think it was that big of a deal to spend 20 years in prison for cheating, well, disobeying the rules. But their intentions have been bad. Some people don't, they don't believe that centralized tests are efficient. So I could also see where they went wrong because they're disobeying the rules. So it's like I'm on either side. I mostly think that they shouldn't have that many years in prison, but they would be fired from their jobs. They don't need to.
Like you said, some people say to understand about this,
They may not teach you, so maybe if you're coming to be, they're not teaching much about what the students can say. They can come and create in school. Most times, I'm really sorry to you. I don't know anything about it. Sometimes it could be, you don't want to say all in this. So this is not how to do it. So, you gotta do what you can do so you can get it. So you want this. When you do it all the time, you know, the business about you just love everything. It's cool.
So I just know that some students don't take tests very well. I had this one friend in high school, we was taking in the courses on the EOC. And she was sitting next to me and she was just sitting there crying. And I'm like, I know she would do it. I've been with her, I've been helping her. And I even tried to, help, like, let her cheat on me. Because it was like, I want you sitting here blowing up, I'm going to play with this on her. She ended up not doing it, but she scored a pair and passed. But it was like she was having a mental breakdown. A lot of students have during these tests.
Yeah, but this is like,
That's a lot. That is a lot.
I could see you real bad. That's a lot of people. 30 freshmen.
That's
This is other people. How does that even do this? Then, is it the article when it was like, some teachers were told, some teachers were told, and then,
we kept talking over there about the stuff that we didn't get that thing.
I think like the teachers were told, when the teachers were told, like, it was like a game and stuff like this.
Okay, I think everybody is finished. Teaching their group. Y'all have a lot to say. I'm proud of you. I heard some very, very interesting and deep comments. So I think you now have a good idea of the ethics. Did it take the scenarios for you to fully understand what ethics is? And of course, okay, I want to take a few more minutes and let somebody share out about each of the scenarios and dilemmas that we talked about, that you read about or watched. So, who would talk to us about number one like this and tell us what standards involved? And they, I think they all kind of, were unethical, not kind of, they were unethical and wrote some ethics standards. Martin, number one.
One table, you chose standard 2, trustworthiness.
All right, tell the group what happened in number one. Although that no one saw the video except you number one people. Okay, you can tell us right quick, you know, about, okay, what was number one about?
A teacher, she was texting a student over text while she was at work. So we had put a standard, we did 3. We did teacher-student relationship, unlawful act. We put unlawful acts because we don't know if she was convicted when she went to trial. And then we put professional conduct. So she wasn't professional while on the job.
Okay, Jerome, what were you going to say? Do you want to have another standard?
Oh, no, I was messing up your
Okay, correct. So, the video worked. It was very, I think everybody should watch that video. It kind of brings it home, doesn't it? Brings home what not to do. Okay, who can share out about number 2? Okay, fine.
Basically, we had an article called Promotion or Attention, and basically it was a group of 8th grade teachers trying to decide whether they wanted to promote a student or hold the student back. The student was 16, well, finna be 16, reading on the 5th grade level, and she was failing 2 classes, science and social studies. So they were trying to decide what to do. Our standard, I don't know if that's the standard I think was trustworthiness and teacher-student relationships. And I chose the teacher student relationship because one of the teachers was using was like had her personal feelings involved. And you know, as a teacher, like you gotta show some sympathy, but you can't let it decide, you know, the professional side of the teacher and student relationship. So
That is an age-old question, to retain or not to retain. I was faced with it many times as a principal. Elijah, you kind of had a different opinion. I think, Brian thinks that she should be retained. What did you think, Mark?
It was kind of different because I feel like when it comes to her situation, you get attained to situation more so than effort, because I'm like not saying that there's still always effort that the student has put in, but like when this went all the way back to second grade, when she got held back because the principal thought that she was gonna mess up the school standard schools, when in my eyes it's kind of messed up. Like you going back because you don't know they can get extra help or whatever or not. But when it would come to this situation, she was there, she was just at like 55 and signed less than that at social studies. So like her reading skills had improved like in a single year, had gone up. She was reading in third grade, now she reading in fifth grade. So I feel like, and then she was planning on doing the summer school too, and they canceled that. Like they also said that it was enough for like students to get their grades up, but I feel like that would have been like, dang, been like the kind of icing on the cake for her. She also went through a lot of stuff at home, and that was kind of hinder her from performing at time. Like she had to deal with her brother dying, like watching her brother get killed in front of her on her front porch. And then she's been went through 3 foster homes, bouncing everywhere. And then it said that the school was the only place that she had felt stable. So I feel like if she had like a stronger support, so maybe like a little place for people like her to have a harder time and learn. Like, some schools be having that. And one thing I also know is that her science teacher wasn't even a real science teacher. So like her science teacher was a French and theater major. So like he wasn't even able to really teach her for real. Well, like I'm not gonna say teach her. I feel like able to give her that extra help that she might need to get that 55 to like maybe a 60, something like that. So I feel like it depends on really what high school you have to go to. But I was like, you can promote her because she showed promise. She would really still put herself in the right situation, because a lot of people, it's not about, a lot of people, it's about situations. And you put them in the right situation, then they'll thrive. Like they're in the wrong situation, outside and inside is all going bad for. Sometimes a lot of times it's going to be too much for people. That's why I feel. You go ahead and promote her to see what she do. And if she don't do well, then it's like, oh dang.
They did not say what actually happened in the scenario, but there's more text that you can read. But that's very interesting. And it does involve ethics. It's not as cut and dry, because no law's been broken. But it does involve the ethics of trustworthiness. And what else did you say, Scott? And there's also one about there's one I'm looking for. Collaborative learning experiences. No, that's not it. Going down, okay. There's one that really advocating for fair and equitable opportunities for all students. Okay, according to what Elijah said, and I read it too, she didn't have equitable opportunities. No, she had an incident in second grade, and she had. But anyway, so that's the standard that I think probably broken there. All right, let's go quickly to 3. I want the guys to talk because she was there. She's got some schema, she's got some personal experience, so go.
Okay, I had the learner educators convicted in the school cheating scandal. And basically what had happened was, it was a group of teachers and in the whole district of Georgia was convicted of cheating on the standardized CRCT test. And I felt like they was wrong for doing it. And it also happened at one of my schools that I was at in elementary. And a couple of my friends, they was convicted in cheating, but technically there wasn't, because the teachers was giving them the answers to the test. And I think they wasn't necessarily trying to give the answers to the students. I think they was more so just trying to help out the students, because a lot of students don't necessarily do good on any standardized test. And came that next year, they went on trial for it to try to take that particular test out the state, and they ended up passing it. And I think to this day, they still are talking about the scandal.
Did they go to jail for that?
The teachers did, and a couple of my friends did.
Students? Okay. That's right. Okay. All right, back to our question. Take your orange card. This is your exit ticket assignment. What are some ethical dilemmas that teachers face? We talked about 3, so please put down 2. Put down 2 dilemmas. With it over. Choose one of the scenarios discussed and tell how you as the teacher would have conducted yourself. It's up here in the inside, put your name. And that's your ticket. All right. For those of you teacher candidates, that's the formative assessment. The second question will be a simple statement. Thumbs up, you finished. Okay, I can wrap up and the rest of you can, then we can move on. Everybody needs their folder, that you took all your notes. That assignment is up in Canvas. And I'll bring it to class with you this. Read the orange card, I collected. Take this with you, because this is your evidence that you were here. This is your points. Even you 201 people that I borrowed to join us, you need that for your evidence, for your extra credit, okay? So make sure you take that folder with you and bring it back to class. And I want to thank all of you so much for your participation today. I'm very, very proud of the way you got in there and really got involved in these dilemmas on a Sunday morning when you really wanted to be asleep. So, thanks again. Y'all can take that before.
Let's give this folks a hand. I am not gonna elaborate, but you students have outdone yourselves as the Dr. Robinson. Thank you all so much. I'm gonna get us back to our agenda while everyone gathers their thinking. And this is the time, if you are live streaming, that we take a little bit of time and really kind of reflect as note takers and people who have observed this lesson. The next segment will bring a response from the four faculty members that co-teach and work with Dr. Robinson. And then we will have our knowledgeable other who will be with us. And you students, feel free. Now, Dr. Robinson, is it okay with you if they want to watch the whole process? And if you are in FED 241 and you want to watch the whole process, but you're hungry, remember my car has food in it. If you want to take a little break while we do this, everybody is now collecting their data and their thoughts about what we think we saw during the lesson as far as the lesson study teams. And you all feel free now as students, get you something out of my car if you would like, and you can come back in if you would like, but you do not have to. Is that correct, Dr. Robinson? That's correct. So if you look at this, I'm going to try to make this bigger. You can actually follow like what's going to happen if you are a student. If you are in a school that did lesson study, part of the work is to now talk about, as adults who were watching the lesson, what we think we saw and what we know we heard. And then there will be the debrief. I don't really like to call it debrief, but Dr. Robinson will speak first. And the team of colleagues with Dr. Robinson will respond. And then I will wrap up with like takeaways. And you all are welcome to do whatever, but if you're going to stay and you want food, or if you're going to leave and you want food, I'm going to give someone my copies, okay?
So now we have, let's see, I don't even know what time is it, 10:38, you were right on time, Dr. Robinson. We have about 20-minute break, so that's for everybody. So take a break. I'm gonna give the keys to the speaker. Dr. Long said she will do it for me. You help yourself, please eat those donuts. And enjoy yourself for a little bit, reflect, think about whatever. And if you are a student and you're coming back, just let us know, okay? You want to see the whole process.
The water is on the counter on the kitchen if you want water.
We got news, where's now? He said the last rank quality is excellent, so much it's like. You know, let's tell you. Yeah. Alan, we got a good report on the. He said, the quality is excellent. She felt like she was like, and Alicia said the same thing yesterday. And Alicia will give us some feedback too. And I felt like you were moving up, it was very positive. And if I want to get some, what do? I want to get one for one. Can I leave a check or what should I do? I have a card, but I don't want to bother you.
No.
Can you do it?
Well, I'll just hear from that. So once everything's over.
Okay. All right.
Turn them off and throw them in there.
Y'all be good, eat that food. We're getting real good feedback now on the live stream. Tiffany said she absolutely felt like she was here. Oh, great. Now, that is Alan.
That's not Alan.
Yeah. Because I think we can also, Alan, give us specific, give us feedback on what it was like before you moved. But I think it was pretty powerful. Oh, yeah. And I mean, she had no reason to say. So I can't imagine what it's like. I kind of get my head wrapped around it when I open so I could actually see. It's very clear. And I don't think we had any trouble with the bandwidth. I think it held the whole time. Yeah. Can you tell who was on today? Alan, celebration week that don't see us on. From Tiffany, Alicia.
When these are the big boxes or.
Well, they're going to go great case.
And I see it.
No, we just.
I still think it saves it if they tell us.
But there was a big box we had used, right? In cardboard box.
One of the big brown. I had two brown boxes.
Okay, yeah, you can start talking. Just make sure I have it. And, that's fine. Thank you. I'll start tearing down some of the stuff.
What do you think, man? You think, you see how you could use this all? Yeah, and that, you see how you could use it? It's,
Yeah.
it's powerful.
Yeah, it's very, very good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you think about places, you got that big room. But do they come to class?
I think there are some of the first ones.
You think you could do jigsaw puzzle and put them in rooms? I have a hard time doing it. See, I could not understand how good the live stream was until Ally let me see it. Yesterday, I was kind of freaking out the whole time because in the back of my head, I was thinking, I don't know what people are actually seeing because I couldn't see it. And we have not done it like this. So I think this is a win. I think the presenting our live stream is going to be huge for us.
And that's why I know that I do like that. My Mac is mine. And then my laptop is my student on, so I can see what they're speaking. So I don't log in as a student into, and I do it through Google Meet.
Yeah.
So I actually my other laptop. And then I use it to make sure what my students are seeing. And then I can
See, I don't want to be able to do that.
started, the one that started.
Yeah. You set it up.
Every morning.
Yeah.
I go and take my.
If y'all got to give that shift prep, y'all can just come up and actually talk and just be like the three of us, you know, and we could, people who are zoomed in, we might be able to figure out a way to get them doing it sometimes because Tiffany was watching, Andrew was not. But Tiffany was watching, and I don't know if anybody else is watching. You can watch, she said she's got watching something.
It's taken to the screen, but.
Say it again.
We could project the Zoom before the screen.
Yeah, I've been following because I've got to go over the office.
And if the Zoom,
It really shows that this was also group of students because there's a layer of all kinds of students in this class. When I say all kinds, some of them have been here for a while, some are newer, some are new to the program. But I thought it was very inclusive and I thought that the kids got it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, Trevor, yes, I did. This one is more.
This is a big secondary and elementary.
It's still, I always feel like.
Well, remember, these students are in on the second floor, and this is what they do all day every day. So it's a culture that, you know, that all of the colleagues that work together, it has not been, it's been a long term thing. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
But once your students learn you and learn your teaching style, I think that whether or not they have it in other classes, once they learn you and learn your expectations, I think it'll be easy to decide. But I think I want to college level, and I want my kids to do more reading. I think it's all a good great starting place. Small, which I like it. You know, that's okay. You can find you stood right in and look good. Did you get something out of my car?
Yes, ma'am.
I got a biscuit. Okay. Wonderful. There's water in here too in that kitchen.
Somehow it must have. Oh, man.
Well, you know what I have, you don't, I don't know if you have pets at home or not, I have a little dog that will sleep nowhere, it's a little dog that showed up on my door. And she sleeps under the bed, right under me, but she has all kinds of fancy beds, but she sleeps under my bed, underneath. It's kind of sad, but she likes it, I just leave her alone. She's, I don't know, a lot. But anyway, the bottom line is, like, she gets up and she will tangle up the cords and unplug everything. You know, I keep my things plugged up on my bedside table. So the first thing I do is I check to make sure everything's charged, it's good. And I had the same thing happen to me this morning. I got up and she had unplugged the cord to my computer, but I got up early enough that I could charge it. She is a mess. What is a hard? She lived under, I think someone threw her out. And she lived under a shed. Of course, we were trying to figure. And it's this about, she's been with us for about a year. And on Facebook, you can see her. She is, we call her Muppet. And she's so pitiful. She's just, she's very, she has a lot of anxiety. I guess somebody threw her away. But she's quite something. My husband, she barks also a bark, but other dogs don't bark that much. But anyway, it's a trip. I never know what to expect. I'm very excited to hear what everybody says.
Okay. I'll see y'all later.
Thank you, Derek. Appreciate you.
Yeah, I'll be on the chat or.
Okay, right. Right. Now, is there a way I could log in to Zoom on this computer and project it up here? So that they could say something if they wanted to correct the kicking to it. You can, you don't know how to.
I can only use that.
Okay, let me scale up here. I had, when I got home last night, yesterday, I never slept yesterday. I went to bed and I slept. My knees were giving me trouble yesterday. And, so they're studying today.
I don't get stickers on your shoes. That's important.
Well, Alan, I want to say thank you.
I will say thank you too.
But,
Alan is working on all weekend.
oh, really? Well, it wouldn't be happening now if it wanted to be on TV that. I can't do what you did and do it with grace.
Yeah.
So now, I don't mind, if y'all don't mind, just call and give me a later. And they just let me go feedback on phone. How about that? So it's not a big deal. So I don't know.
And also, I think that we feedback in the chat.
One of them left their book bag.
But they may be coming back. They might be coming
They
back.
might be, they're out there eating.
Alan, I want you to take all those notes.
Yes,
And Ted, if you want to be part of a feedback, you can type your feedback on the chat. I got you up, okay? You can go ahead if you want to. Thank you. So Mandy, it'll be you and Tiffany and Derek will be on too. You'll tell Derek he can type his comments on the chat. This is kind of amazing that we are. Let's see, I'll tell Derek, take your feedback on the chat.
This is basically how I do my podcast.
So how are you trying to do it? Are you doing it?
I did Google Meet. So I everything goes on my Mac, and then I display my screen, but on my PowerPoint will be a display on the projector. And I'm presenting in Google Meet at the same time. Okay. So everybody sees what I'm doing. The only thing I don't like in the science department, they had to be on tap because they got better technology. Oh my God, I'm so jelly. Like, I think somebody did tell the grant they received the photo, but they have like a little camera, microphone, and camera. And so like I can't write on the board. If I want to write on the board, I have to put a whiteboard and they can just write on the board instead of speaking. Virtual student and stuff.
Yeah, we have.
Broke their shackles.
It's not. Oh, it just looks bad. So we're right on the articles, if anybody wants to, we've got lots of good evidence. Y'all ready to get started? All right, we're already getting good feedback up here from the AQ, tier.
It's already addressed. It's right there on the table.
So now the 14 comes first, and you'll be, y'all will give y'all are gonna bring everything up and pull it together, it's gonna be me, okay? All right. All right, y'all ready?
Y'all roll over. Okay, give yourself a little slack. Okay, that's good.
I'm pushing for cake on that first one, and I'm fixing, where's my buddy? He's getting to pay sleep and cornbread.
Yeah.
We'll start with the teacher of the lesson first. Can y'all imagine lifetime students taking lessons? They are telling you it's free. One, two, three, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, so are we ready? Everybody ready? So.
You want to be on camera introducing this or not? Just go back to Dr. Rob.
I'm just facilitating, it doesn't matter. I just want to say to everybody in here, like we always start with the teacher of the lesson first. That person gets to go first and also has the option to question or ask for clarity. And I didn't say that yesterday, but any of us say anything you want more, all you have to do is just do the thing. Okay, we're ready. One.
Let's start with Dr. McKay.
Oh, no, I've already done it.
I know that, just to introduce what we're doing.
Oh, okay. Tell me when you're ready. Tell me when you're ready. So, welcome back. Thank you, Dr. Robinson. That was wonderful. And as always, the tradition of Japanese lesson study at Talbot College, UNCF Innovation Center lesson study, we start first with the teacher of the lesson. Thank you, Dr. Robinson.
I want to thank everybody for your attention today and your attendance. I felt good about the lesson. I really did. Of course, there's always things you want to do better. And as I look back, I think I should have made the guided note sheets that I sent to the different dilemma groups. They could have been more specific to the topic because I wanted to certain meet out of those scenarios. So I should have done that a little bit differently. But I will say that's the first time I've ever done guided notes like that during my jigsaw. And I've done jigsaw a lot. And I've always thought I've got to start doing a note-taking sheet. And now I know I have proven to myself the importance of it, because they would always get back to the group and finish too fast when they were teaching to the home group. And that did not happen today. I don't know if it was the scenarios and the dilemmas that was part of it because they were interested, or if they, it was because they had to have certain detailed notes down, detail about, and they're serious about their notes, as they should be. Another issue, I would, in a real world, I would rather none of them had been late. But we do what we have to do, and it was Sunday. So I'm just thankful everybody made it and we were able to get the trio. And I thank you, Dr. McKay, for offering to step in, but I, as any teacher does, had already started formulating my plan candidates for what I was going to do for that number 3 person, because Dr. McKay was here to volunteer to step in, and I know other teachers would have if I had asked, but in the real world, I would have been the only other person in the room. So I would have needed to step in to be a number 3 or a number 2 in the group. And I'm sure most of you noticed that I had already assigned number 1. That's the video, because I was concerned that they might not be able to pull it up, because sometimes my copying and pasting into a URL is not as it should be. So I was a little concerned there. So I assigned the number 1s and had them have the video ready. And I would do that again in a real classroom, because there are always students that are early. So I would pick those videos out. And like I said before, I had never used a video scenario, but I liked it. I think I might try one with 3 videos. And because the reading, I think, and of course, I'll always do the reading, I've always done it, but the videos, they finish seemingly a little faster, and they like those. Because the reading speed of the students is not the same. And of course, no one did this, but anyway. So that's just some things that I have taken from the lesson. So I'm very open for feedback.
You won't help me to remember, I apologize. One that we must do it again. And so we'll go just in this order. That's good for y'all. So we got 20 minutes.
First of all, enjoyed watching you with the G-Star, because you told me about it, but I really hadn't seen you in action. So I did enjoy that, see how I can use it in my class. I do like the idea that you had already started thinking of a plan B. We as teachers have to think on our feet. The fact that you walk around to your groups, you told them the time, they had 5 to 7 minutes. I don't know if maybe you want to be exact and then put a timer up.
Okay.
So and then, remind them, in a minute, how you have whatever. The engagement between the students was, I think your notes, questions were good, because it gave them a direction. And they were able to follow it and go back to their tables and teach. It was very, I think, very good. Maybe if you're gonna use video, get your phone.
Yes.
And you don't have to worry about the noise interrupting others. It's like we require students to bring headphones to class, since we don't know if we're gonna go Zoom or now or whatever. So, the inquiry question, or your objections,
was the dilemma? Okay. And I saw you had it posted there. And maybe I missed it. Did they know it? Did you tell them that in the beginning? Okay. I missed it. I missed it somewhere. It was on the way.
And it's her co-pilot, who's been doing a little bit better. I could have pulled it up. I was trying.
The exit ticket was good.
Borrow that from you. She's ex-ticket queen.
And then, you take that information in your next class, you go back over. it. So all in all, the one thing was, when they were at the opening of the lesson. And you had them, kind of like turn and talk on this. And they connected it to like a life experience. You said, tell the teacher that you trust, that was trustworthy. I thought maybe you should at least have given them an opportunity to share out about the teacher that, they were, on each thing. And that way they'll get more ideas and thoughts from each other. And I know we're time and time. Right. But other than that, I think it was amazing.
See, that's another thing I was going to say for that. I might not have needed all that introduction, but I felt like I did because that was the point of the lesson, was the code of ethics. So I felt like I had to do some type of introduction, and I just basically did what I do, which is a mini lecture with their involvement, because and then I have them, like Dr. McKay says, talk to the text. That's why I was doing underlining and highlighting and all that business. But I'll take a suggestion on a better way to do that. But yes, I can, thank you.
It's funny that Clinton and I were picking up on the same thing, so I guess you could say these are good suggestions that we're making. And y'all will not even see it. No, we want to sit close to each other, that's all it's going to take all night. And so she is getting sad, that's okay. Moving right along. The first thing I really appreciated was the fact that she took the standards and then he explained. Had them think about what each keyword meant. Like Clinton, I was really curious to hear what they want to say about a teacher that exemplified trustworthiness to them. And I think that was good for them to at least get them, as you say, find their voice, have their voice then. Even though they had their voice all the way, but I was curious to see what they were going to say about those previous teachers and how they exemplified trustworthiness. So that was one of my suggestions. Of course, I was going to suggest headphones from the dog with somebody else. We talk a lot. But it's not like we're triangulating each other. It's both picking up on the same thing. I had never seen Jigsaw. I've heard you talk about it a lot. I like it, but I think that in this situation, your one should have spoken, your two should have spoken, and your threes, and then they could have discussed it with the others. And but that's only because of this environment. Because of the lesson study environment. Yes, because only to make sure that those who are not here and not able to go to take to show up would have been able to keep them engaged. I think and the students did a great job. The note-taking sheet was excellent because when I went over and looked, they were really filling that sheet out, and I think that kept them on track on task. Now I think you accomplished what you wanted to accomplish with you. I'm just saying that
with it being table to table, and there's nothing wrong with that, you know, we'll use it, that's the way it's used. But, I just think maybe if we're doing something like this, maybe somehow give them an opportunity during that portion. Earlier before they have to go to it after they discuss it, so maybe the ones can present the lesson too. Practice. Right, you know, just think about that, and I'm thinking about from the perspective of the audience. But I think that as an activity, it's great.
It's a great way to get some material covered.
Right.
And not lecture.
Yes, exactly.
And that's why I use it.
And I think you did a good job of using different mediums, such as using the videos and such as using actual paper copies, articles that they could review and talk about. But I think you got it, those for the future. I think they really have to stay on that. And of course, the extra ticket was always an excellent idea because we need that information from our students to know what we need to review. So I thought that was great. And non-invasive, so they can just write it down and have it to review.
So, thank you. I've been over here racking my brain with what new thing I might say. But first of all, thank you. I thought you handled everything extremely well. And yours was very intricate. I thought you did it masterfully, and I thought the students responded. It's clear to me that they knew what to do, so your directions were clear. And I love the physical movement of it, and I know that when Wayne and I talked in the days before in the work prior, we had to be so cautious of something not showing up in a video, like, you know, somebody's leg sticking out or a cord or something. But we gave ourselves the grace that, you know, whatever happens when they move, if it shows up in the video, it shows up in the video. The purpose of the video here is to show other people how they might try this. And it also has to be useful enough to them and clear enough to them that they would actually buy into it. And I definitely think the feedback that I have received from the people who were doing the live stream, they said they felt like they were here. So they could see it and hear it. And that's Alan's movement of, you know, he's moving around too to the small groups. I think I really like the fact that they started out at one place and then they moved to another. It also looked like to me, I couldn't tell, but you did not group them in any way. Is that correct? Yeah. So they had choice of, you know, kind of what they did. And I think that is really powerful in the college classroom, as it is in all classrooms. I think choice to me, particularly in FED 241, is powerful because many of us were in schools, and I can't speak for the students, but I suspect they were also, you know, the work that they did might have been pretty didactic. They might have been assigned certain things. But the other thing is, I think this went extremely smoothly, and it was not a dog and pony show. You did not rehearse this with these students, because she and I teamed off this class. And I thought it was amazing. And I thought they stepped up to the plate, and now it's over for them because we know what they can do. It was amazing students, very, very well done. I love the scenarios. I thought they were highly motivated. We had heard that before. You know, when we got feedback from the state, you know, we talked a little bit about the fact that the ethics teaching and all of that, and how were we covering that with our students. Well, we now all have a way that we can use some scenarios in our classes. I want to do what you did with the reading that I had planned. My class ended up not being the class that I had planned, because so many of them were going to be gone. But I want to do the ethics of reading and reading assessment with my students. And I'm excited to get to see that I'll be able, I think I can pull it off. I may need you to talk me through it. I still don't quite have my head wrapped around it. I'm a little bit slow about, you know, the different areas, but I think I can follow your lesson plan. The context was extremely well organized, which I think for the AQ participants who are going to come up after us who want to try this, I think a lot of it is getting all of your tools and all of your materials together. You certainly had that well done. And I think that the students were highly motivated and highly engaged. Now, I have scratched my brain to try to give you something that I think you might try. And I am speaking to myself. One of the things that I noticed in the work that I've done with lesson study, I did not do it yesterday, and I knew that I should do. But I would advocate some note-taking, maybe as you're walking around and just jotting down things to remember to say. And I would be speaking to myself also, because I don't do it enough, but I think it's a great model for our students. And I think that for the students who were here and for the students who were live streaming, that we did have some students who were watching, I think for them to see how this works, the process that you did was exquisite, and I think your content was right on target. This is FED 241, and in the state standards and the work, I was the one lucky enough to get to write that rewrite on the standards. They were actually supposed to be doing and participating in lesson study as part of their field work. So I'm very excited about the whole thing, but the only feedback I would give that I think would really be something that all of us will want to do as we're doing these lesson studies. And we should be doing it in every class that we teach. We should be taking notes and walking around. I have a tendency not to do it, and I don't know why. I think it may be, I may be just, I don't know. Sometimes I just forget it. But we don't have so many students that we can't manage. Our memory is pretty good, but having all that data also might help us in the work that we're trying to do, like when we're trying to actually publish this. So that's just something FYI, we all probably need to be doing an assessment notebook. Just like we ask our reading teachers and our mathematics teachers to do, like when they're walking around. But really, really good job. I really am grateful that I got to see it. And I have done Jigsaw, but I've never done it this well before. So now, Rhonda, you're up next.
Okay, thank you for having me as a part of this process. I just really enjoy being able to sit back and let my wheels turn. And all the questions and wonderings that come up as I observe the lesson. I agree with what many of your colleagues have said about the selection of the material. Those, the video and the two readings were excellent selections because it did get the students talking. They had things to say about it. And I think sometimes that's the biggest challenge we face is finding something that they really can connect to so that they have things to say. And I think those three selections were excellent for that. I also thought about the multiple moving parts in the lesson. So the complexity of the lesson had a lot of moving parts, and your what ifs, I think was a great way to think about, well, what if the technology doesn't work, right? Or the videos can't be pulled up. What's going to be my alternative to that? What ifs? And the important part about what ifs, I think, is for the teacher candidates to start to think about, well, what if a student struggles in the lesson? You know, what am I going to say? What am I going to do? What's my alternative there? So I think if you model the what ifs for them, it's very effective. Suggestion about posting an inquiry question. I think it's always good to have it up just so that that is the question, that's the same question that the students refer to all the time during a lesson, because we tend to change it and we don't realize how just adding one word or taking one word out changes the context of the question, and now they're answering something different. So having that question posted, I think, is really important. I was wondering about the deeper purpose of the lesson. What I seem to have gotten from this, and please correct me if it's not what your intention was that you wanted the students to match the scenarios to the code of ethics. Is that correct? So one thing that I was wondering about is, what would it be like if the students were to be in the scenario and talk about how they would respond to them. Because I think what came up as I listened to students discuss is their biases. And biases weren't brought up explicitly in the lesson. And I think those biases play an important role and influence the decisions that we make in ethical situations. So if they were in the scenario, for instance, you know, you're a teacher and you help a student cheat on a test, you know, what influences your decision to do that, right? And I think biases would come up there. And then have them even then unpack how the biases then influence the decisions I make as a teacher. I was also wondering about leading questions and open-ended questions. Because I noticed as we walked around to the small groups, I got the sense that the questions you were asking them were leading them to do something versus opening them up to think more deeply. So just thinking about the difference between a leading question and an open-ended question. And I think this is something I've been wondering about since last night too, about yesterday's lesson also. As teacher candidates and as teachers in a teacher preparation program, I don't know how often we pause ourselves to think about what assumptions we make about our students and how those assumptions impact what we then do in the classroom. So just a curiosity is thinking about, you know, what assumptions do I have about these students and what they know? And how can I use those assumptions to meet them where they are, but also move them to the next level too? And a script. I wanted to say this yesterday and I didn't think about it until last night, but I said, oh, I should have said that. I think a really important tool for teacher candidates is to script a lesson and have it and read it. Like have it in your hand, read the script. And the importance of the script is, and I think both yesterday and today was very great examples of that is, we sometimes are our own worst enemy because we get sidetracked. A student says something and we go down that rabbit hole with them, and now the lesson no longer is about the inquiry question, we've taken it someplace else.
Yeah,
So
definitely in the script, they saw it.
yeah, and so I really encourage teacher candidates to have a script and have the script in your hand and read it. It's okay, you know, because what happens when you read that well-intentionally planned lesson is that your students are going to get what they want, what you wanted them to get out of the lesson, and not be all over the place. The one thing I always think about is I ask my kids at the end of the day, you know, well, what did you learn today? And when they look at me and go, oh, a lot, something, that was me, because I wasn't very clear in my instruction that they could say, oh, we learned about this, this, and this. My own children, when they would come home, I'd ask, you know, what did you learn in school today? When there was something where the lesson was really explicit, they could tell those things. And when most days they were like, oh, we learned a lot of things, and they really couldn't pinpoint. So I think the script allows teachers to be really explicit, and then your students can pinpoint exactly what they've learned. But I greatly appreciate being here and just being able to share all of my wonderings and thinking about teaching and learning.
And the bias is a good comment. I did not, but one of them did. One of my students that shared out said, and I forget who it was, that they had to put aside, was it Elijah? Elijah, you say you had to put your biases aside. You said something about bias. You might not have used that word.
I do think it was from, yeah. I said something along with my often don't need that. I just said, well, hold on, let's get your comment.
You get the opposite viewpoint on promotion and retention.
I don't think I necessarily said bias, but my viewpoint was similar to that. It was kind of like I had to
look at it in terms of not where the person was, or the student was, like academically, because that went to one side of the story, like I was saying, like all the situations and academic wise, because you just look on paper and you see those two failed grades, but okay, it failed students, but if you look at a situation matched up to the effort they put in and their grade, then it's like, okay, my paint a whole different picture, like, are they doing their best, or are there still more they could be doing? But, you know, they haven't been putting in their whole effort. But, yeah, but in case you do have to put aside our own biases, because, you know, you still have to they go to our professional conduct, being fair, and not put your own personal biases into that decision making.
Can I talk about mine? Yes, a little bit too, I think. How is your relationship? Talk about.
Well, my opinion on this is, a lot of teachers, because I know, like, I have a lot of student-teacher relationships with, like, my past teachers, so they would tell me, like, when I was in school, like, I was a good student, and I did all my work, and so they made our relationship better, but it was some stuff that they had to put it to the side, just for me to be a better student. So, like, I don't know what class it was, but we was talking about something dealing with the student teacher, and I was telling one of my classmates that I used to be scared to talk in front of a group of people. So my teacher, she would want me to do certain stuff, but I wouldn't do it because I was scared to do it. And so she would allow me not to do it because, you know, she liked me as a student, and she knows that my grades were good and etc. But she had to put that aside because she knew that I was gonna need to eventually get over it, because I would have to talk, you know, especially when being a teacher, I got to stand in front of a group of people or class and talk to them. So I would just figured out that you have to put that to the side once you become a teacher, because it can either help a student or it can definitely hurt a student. So that's why my opinion was different from a lot of, because I mean, if they pass the student, then because middle school to me is they still baby you, but they also give you a little leeway because you're getting older. So once they still get to high school, then depending on the high school, they not gonna baby you. So it's like, then she definitely will become a dropout. So I feel if she at least get the help she needs from them and give that extra little push, then she can finish her last 4 years in high school, even though she is behind. So I mean, like I said, either help the student or hurt the student. So this one helps the student to the side.
Okay, so. Good job. Thank you to everyone. Thank you, Rhonda, again for coming and being with us. And thank you, Dr. Robinson and the class. We really appreciate you all being here. We know on Sunday morning, you know, it's not a good time. Thank you to the videographers, to Dr. Long for being here. She gave us a sense of confidence today. And to all of the AQ participants who will be up next, we have them on. So that concludes this portion of the lesson study. Now, if you all are taking notes, you are students in FED 241. This is a lot of the way that a true traditional lesson study will happen. The team, are considered the innovation team here. When we say innovation, we agreed that we would try to take a technique, and ours was active learning, because we know that active learning is tied to retention and recruitment of students. And that's what every college wants to do before they send their students out into the world. We want to retain you here at Talladega College and continue to recruit you to do good work for the college as well as for yourself. So we just think all the different layers of influence, and we have one more layer to go, and then if Wayne and the colleagues would entertain it, I would love to hear from the students, because some of the students have now done this for 2 days. Do you think we have time to do it one? Okay, so let's have our next group up. That would be Dr. Long and the AQ team. And we do have a great many things that have been typed into the chat. Now, I assure you there is a way that we could probably figure out how to do this with the streaming piece and having people do it live, but I don't know what that way is, so we decided we would do it that piece in the chat. You can see that Derek is on, he's in the library, he opened the library this afternoon. And then I don't know who else is on, but just about everybody has typed in, and I guess I can be the source that reads those out after Dr. Long and Amanda talk a little bit about their feedback and their reflection on the lesson. So thank you, ladies, so much. Good feedback. So Dr. Long and Ms. Haley Cotton, you all will come forward, and we will entertain the work just as you have heard before. And the layers of influence have nothing to do with who is important and who is not important. The layers of influence, it actually takes all of these different layers to make change in any kind of education innovation that you want to do. You have to have, everybody has to be a part of it. And certainly because we have brought the students in this, because you're going to get to wrap it up for us if you choose to stay and do your reflective piece also. And it has nothing to do with the hierarchy or anything like that. It's just, it should be very interesting for everybody now to see the different layers that it takes from school, for schools and classrooms to work to actually institute a change. So maybe we'll start with Dr. Long and we'll come up with you, and then I'll share like the feedback that's on the screen.
Give me about 2 minutes.
That's fine. No worries. They'll give us another minute to get our head
I was gonna say, drop a few more, right? So you couldn't see and not be the. Okay, I mean, stop on it. Oh, good, man. No, it's good. Just get over there.
Somebody's gonna have to be very exclusive.
Yes.
Oh, this is true.
Yeah, that's what- okay.
So, Dr. Robinson, I'm going to give you a second.
It's good.
No, that's good. I mean, that way you can chime in and not have to worry about if you're getting heard. Whenever you want to respond, whatever's said. Okay. Go ahead, Dr. Robinson, and count the council.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
You'll control this group and control what we're doing here.
So this is another model.
Okay, so. JT. Yeah, just pull back some.
This process, like when he does this, he will take all of these recordings and weave it together. I mean, it's an amazing thing that he can do for us.
Okay, and everybody roll? Everybody roll. And anytime you're ready, can you give her the mic?
So thank you again for another layer of influence and another layer of feedback from different perspectives. And I actually chose to use the term layer of influence from the school renewal research. And I think physically having all of the components of that should be very visual now to everybody, so that we see that we have multiple groups of people who want to enact this in different ways. And so we're going to start with our provost and vice president of academic affairs, Dr. Lisa Long, and we will hear her, and then we will go to Mandy, and then I will try to share the chat room.
Thank you, Dr. McKay. I have read a lot about lesson studies with all the information that Dr. McKay sent to me, and also heard a lot about it when she talked about it. But these 2 days have provided great insight into what lesson study is really all about. I think the students did an excellent job. They were very responsive and engaged. And Dr. Robinson did a good job in her presentation. I particularly liked the exit ticket. I kind of thought about it, and I try to think about it from an administrative standpoint as well. I sort of thought about it from an incorporating shared governance standpoint, that you consider the viewpoint of all the students or the participants in the lesson study, gives them shared responsibility and buy-in. I thought about it to teach, learn, and apply. So I like the real life scenarios that you gave them for them to apply what they had learned about the standards and to determine whether or not it was appropriate or inappropriate action on the part of the individual. The voice, I thought expression was so important. With the exit ticket, I think I would take the exit ticket a step further. What could have been discussed with your understanding of the topic would be the last question on the exit ticket that I end with. Or what was shared that what could I have shared, or what would you have shared that could have been discussed differently to deepen your understanding of the topic or standard or whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish for that lesson. And then I would also use that to collect data from each class to show effective teaching strategies and the knowledge gained. I would follow up during the next class regarding the students' response to deepen their understanding of the concepts, etc. I would also think about allowing students to, and maybe you select a different student for each topic as the semester rolls out, and so that they are not caught by surprise, but maybe for, say, a student will discuss ethical issues. The student will be selected for that particular class. And maybe at the end of the class, they might do a 10-minute lesson study and organize the lesson the way that they choose, and maybe have a silent critique afterwards with students and just provide some feedback at the next class. Also, I thought about the headphones. If you know that this is a technique that you would like to use throughout the semester, you might include headphones as an instructional supply and purchase those and think about a way to sterilize. So that it's nothing wrong with the Dollar Tree headphones, but if you think of it as an instructional supply, you might be able to use it semester to semester with your classes. Thank you.
First, let me say that I would love the friendships that y'all have made in pictures of that, right? I love that. And y'all can bounce off each other and learn together and dance together. That is so important in the educational field. Because you need your teammates to help you, and you know, so you can learn what works and what doesn't work, or whatever. I love that. Yeah, I love that. And then as I said yesterday, I love the idea of active learning and how students are engaged with each other, especially your group. They always seem so engaged, or they have the last 2 days, they seem so engaged with one another. And so the teacher isn't actually just presenting content. It's just not the teacher's voice all the time. It's actually the student's voice. And they learn, sometimes they learn better from their peers. So I love that idea of active learning. I can't wait to get in my classroom and figure it out. And speaking of figuring it out, I think I can do this with the parts of speech. I think I can put the jigsaw method.
I thought about parts of speech.
Yeah.
In English, I'm not an English record.
We need to talk. I think I can execute that in my classroom and do it better. That seems to be like the biggest problem is part of speech. Or it's just, gain something from that. I love the exit ticket. I'm gonna try to execute that in my classrooms as well. And that's just once again to better yourself as a teacher. What are your students getting out of it? And what you can do as a teacher to better the rest of yourself. So I love that.
I don't know. I also think that it could be used across campus with multiple disciplines, department, actually with every department. And it may be a way of teaching strategies that is less invasive to faculty or less threatening because you just maybe move it around randomly.
Well, thank you all again. Dr. Robinson, I did not say this earlier, I apologize. Do you have any questions of any of the groups that have spoken so far?
Dr. Long, let me make sure I understood this suggestion. Select the student to do a mini lesson on ethics. And then for a mini lessons day, which did you say both?
On any topic, I just
Ethics.
an example of ethics. It might be different things it might be different topics that you have, say you have 15 weeks. For the 15 weeks, you would select a different student each week.
I'm loving all of these ideas that we're getting. So I'm seeing real power in all of these different layers of feedback. Because I think if Dr. Long did not say that, I might not have thought when Rhonda also mentioned the idea of letting people be in the role of the particular people. You and I could do that. Dr. Robinson, hot seat. That would be a great technique that we could actually do in the class. So I want to end now, not because these comments are not important, but Tiffany Sales, who is a psychology adjunct here, has bought in and really just given us such good feedback. The first person that sent me a text after the lesson today was that she felt like she was here and it was live streamed. So Dr. Long, I would say that anytime we wanted to live stream a lesson or a lesson study to anyone who wanted to participate, all we have to have is Zoom and a really good iPad that is up to date. And we feel like now, I know that the bandwidth is strong enough here to carry that signal, and we can play around with it out of different departments and see. But she says that it has really been good. And Dr. Robinson, I'm going to use Tiffany's voice. She was just very ecstatic about your lesson, and she said you modeled excellence. She said there was clear expectation of the lesson and it was continual active engagement of all capital ALL students. I appreciated your front loading and your review of vocabulary to quickly assess background knowledge. So Ms. Sales, like for that, you know, you talked a little bit about, you know, the front loading, you know, you weren't having second thoughts about it, but you did consider.
I did.
She said, I'm a firm believer of word power and love the terms, the home group and the expert group. The home group inferred a base connection while the expert group clearly defined the expectation and the purpose of that group. I also appreciated that expert group had time to individually process the assigned selection before discussing it with the group. Dr. Robinson's continual support, guidance, and feedback developed continual discussion, collaboration, and learning. I am certain that students have a sense of expertise in each of the sections shared today, and she said thank you. Then she said, I have not fully utilized this AQ tool, but plan to implement it in my in-person classes and hopefully in my online classes through the breakout groups with future classes after training. Thank you for modeling this strategy. And so for those of you who know about professional learning, it used to be a famous set of studies that said if you don't try something within 3 days of learning about it, you probably will not do much with it. So you can sit in professional learning and lesson studies all day long and do all this feedback and all this conversation. But if you don't do something pretty quick, the research does not hold that the professional learning has been impactful. I'm thinking that we will go next to Derek. Derek left and he's in the library. He said it was an excellent presentation and method. I thought the students were very involved and had great discussions both today and yesterday. The students seem to have very good discussions on ethics and the standards. And then he added, if I had one suggestion, it would be to also include a greater discussion on why these things are standards. Now, see, this is why, to me, it's not just because it's Derek, but I think it's very powerful for different departments to have feedback from different people who do not do the same work that they do. Because this is what he said, and this would actually be something that we could do, Dr. Robinson, with FED 241. He said, for example, focus on the power differentials between the teacher and the student. Any type of relationship between teacher and student creates power differentials in which one is more powerful than another. As a person in public service, you have the responsibility to hold those power differentials into account and to act responsibly with power differentials. And so that is so true in today's world. And we're seeing it enacted nationally now. And it's true, it's going to be something I feel like that young teachers really need to get their head wrapped around, because I didn't really grapple with it until I became a little bit older. But there is a real dynamic and power differential. You know, some of the students have heard me talk about the State Department. We do not make a lot of the rules that we have in our department. It's basically not just the State Department, but it's our state school board and the state legislature that really does a lot of the, the mandates. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm just saying that we all should be aware that it is there. Thank you, Derek, for saying that, and Tiffany. Alicia has repeatedly said, sent me messages, on the power of, Alicia is our participant observer, and she will be doing a real thorough analysis of everything that she's seen. She said the focus question and the display provided was powerful for the students. Discussion of important vocabulary terms prior to the lesson was good, and she said, and remember, she does the same thing that we do. She is a dean at Stillman. Discussion of important vocabulary terms prior to the lesson was powerful. Overview of the Alabama Code of Ethics provided before the lesson was good. Jigsaw activity was engaging and it was dynamic. She said it was dynamic student interaction. Dr. Robinson monitored all the groups, and in the closing, the students reported their findings. She liked the exit ticket that was provided at the closing, and she says, future thoughts. The lesson was opened by reviewing the standards in detail. Did this allow the students to share their perspective or point of view before starting the lesson? Prior knowledge or misconceptions. If the outcome of the article was given, a person convicted of cheating, the student has little room to incorporate their point of view. Possible alternative might be only give a segment of each article and allow the students to determine the outcome. Now that's interesting. I hadn't thought about it like that, but I like that. What do you think, Dr. Robinson, that we might try?
That's right, we'll see.
Yeah.
The outcome was not given on promotion retention.
Okay, that's interesting.
And that's where we got the debate.
Yeah. So that's a big aha to me right there. Very big aha. And often in lesson study, you don't get it until about 3 days after it's over because you're so into it. But her language really has given us some thought, and Dr. Robinson's comments also. She said, then share the outcome of the article and integrate the Alabama Code of Ethics discussion. So she would have done it just a little bit differently perhaps, or maybe a suggestion, if we do it again, Dr. Robinson, we might approach it that way.
I've got a whole book of dilemmas over there.
Yeah, and she says in caps, great lesson, teacher at heart. Thank you everyone for this wonderful opportunity to hear from all of these voices about one lesson on one day with one group of students. And the power in that is, remember, the smallest thing that we can do, we need to question what is the smallest thing that we can do that might make the most difference. So I encourage all of you to remember that little tidbit. Now we have one last group, and we are closing in now on the final. So we will now pull the students. Do you think, Wayne, that we can get the students in this? Just a quick whip around. Will it be okay if they stay where they are? Okay, all right, perfect. And then we will move over here. Thank you all.
And if you can't reach it, just come to the mic.
Well, you're getting ready for, I had one student had to leave. I don't think he'll mind, I don't think he'll mind me sharing. He said, no opportunity to zone out. Yes, no opportunity to zone out. I love it. Yeah, go ahead, Carl.
I've had Dr. Robinson for like about 3 years now, and she never fails to impress me with all the things that she's done in her classroom. It keeps me very engaged. She knows that I love to talk, you know, I love to talk. And it can be very engaging, like it opens my mindset to different opportunities. And so this is something like I would really want to use as a young male teacher. But
So I feel like this is very, very informed because like it gives a lot of different scenarios. One like controversial, well actually pretty much all of them is controversial, but it shows a lot of examples that really actually happen in the teaching world. So it'll be more so like a learning experience, you know, if you ever would come across this, then you know like how maybe not necessarily how to exactly deal with it, but better understanding of how to, and how it also actually helps. It's like a kind of like a double side, some sort of thing, but it's also it's good. For the lesson studies that you can use in your own classroom, like how you get jigsaw. Yeah, as long as you do stuff like that. So
had Dr. Robinson for maybe 2 years in Dr. K3. And honestly, I've learned a lot in education, being that this is my first time really being in education. And with that, I would love doing something from teaching to now even seeing that I've learned stuff on my own learning disability. And honestly, I have to say it's a life-changing process to get and to take back into when you do start to become a teacher candidate. And maybe you can inform like other students who had those problems as you. And now you know what you can tell them and help them out along the way. Yeah, I'm thankful for it. Yeah.
Stand by 1 minute, please. I'm trying to get you focused.
The lesson today was great. This is really one of my first information classes. It puts us in the mindset of what we do in this situation. We did some kind of create a classroom within the classroom. So it gives us the opportunity to see how people skills.
Hold on, there. Hold on, stand by. Okay.
Yeah, today's lesson was great. I feel like the questions that were asked really well. And kind of speaking about what happened in high school. It feels like every class I'm being used for education, it's always brings me back into when I was in high school. And like good connections that when I'm from the teachers. So like I feel like also graduate all of the best teachers because like all of these things on the team that we do really helps us. And also with all the questions and discussions that we get, it helps us voice also something.
Stand by, hold on. Just focus. Okay.
I would say overall today was great. I actually took Dr. Robinson. So it was a refresher to go over the ethical standards, and it put us in a perspective of who is the end of the situation, what will we do as a teacher, and how we can. I feel like all the lessons we had over each professor prepares us through the transition.
So, hold on for the 1 minute, please. And anytime.
Okay, I like when we take Dr. Robinson, okay, and Dr. Bruno, Dr. Sinclair, because they teach us like what we need to know to go into the field, but they also model. So that's be like a 2-on-1 lesson. So the teachers what we need to know, then they model it. So this is what I actually love about that class. And today was good because we also learned what you should not do. And so like Dr. Sun said, if he was an expert, if he was that teacher in that position, but I honestly don't want to think like that because I honestly do not want to be especially with the other things because I cannot do it. So, I think it was an overall good example from Dr. Wilson, Dr. K. So
I love it. I do not do jail. We hope not.
Today has really been an aha moment, actually the last 2 days, but I think with the pandemic and asking faculty to load the portal, this was an excellent model of how a class can be done. And you can also engage your students at home in a breakout room on Zoom. And so they have an opportunity to engage, and then you would be able to allow them to have conversations with the class. I think Tiffany said it best. It felt like she was here. Tiffany Sales, the adjunct professor. So this is an awesome way to incorporate what we've been doing with faculty and students. Some students don't feel safe coming in, so this is a perfect example, so you model that way.
And I will add that the library is partnered with us and been instrumental in making this work happen. And we're grateful to Alan because I could not envision how to make all of these moving parts happen. And so the first group I went to, after talking to Dr. Long, I do not have the expertise that they have. And it's always like as a teacher, like you will see that you will have an opportunity to do multidisciplinary work. And you always try to seek out people that, first of all, that have the expertise that you need that you do not have, and you know you can't build quickly enough. And secondly, there's a lot of trust between all of us, and everything that has happened in this room shows trust. And you can't really do anything that is powerful in school. You have to build a community, and you have to build trust. And I just want to thank everybody, including the videographers, the young men who volunteered, and Wayne has so graciously said, come partner with me. He has a stipend for each one of them, which was beyond and above the call. And we just want to thank all of you. And I don't want to negate anyone, even the people who are out there in the streamline. I still can't get my head wrapped around exactly how that looks, but I'm hoping that we're going to be able to play with some live streaming. And I've had a lot of ahas about getting field experiences for our students who cannot get them during COVID and who are very, very worried about going into schools. And I think if we can pull this off today with an iPad and a bandwidth strong enough to do the live stream, I believe we can live stream lessons, which has been my dream since I hooked up with Amy Richardson over in Wedowee. We wanted to watch those high school classrooms and active learning. And she and I talked about it, and if it is this simple, I think I can do it. Thank you all so much. I appreciate you. Thank you guys.